Arizona Theater Matters, in partnership with ReproFreedomArts.org, Words of Choice present Reproductive Freedom is What We Want.
I said I loved you. And I wanted affirmative action and reaction. I said I loved you and I wanted music out the windows. I said I loved you and I wanted nobody thirst and nobody cold. I said I loved you and I wanted justice under my nose. I said I loved you and I wanted boundaries to disappear. I wanted nobody roll back the trees. I wanted nobody take away daybreak. I wanted nobody freeze all the people on their knees. I said I loved you and I wanted justice under my nose. I said I loved you and I wanted boundaries to disappear.
On the way home from work, I picked up an EPT. My heart was beating so hard, my shirt was literally jumping off my chest. It took every last ounce of strength to hold that little plastic stick in the bathroom. Last month was my first time having sex with a guy I've liked for 3 years. We used protection. When my microwave kitchen timer screamed, telling me the 3-minute wait was up, I could barely walk back to see if a little pink stripe would send me plummeting down my spiral to hell. I love children, but there is no way I could ever tell my family I was pregnant or be a mommy at this point in my life. When I found only one line, I fell to the floor, shaking and crying, and thanking God and Goddess for sparing me. The last 7 or 8 minutes have been the most intense of my entire 22 years of life.
The story of Jane is the story of the struggle by a diverse group of women in the Chicago area to create access to abortion. A feminist group, Jane offered a safe alternative to dangerous back-alley abortions at a time when abortion was illegal. Jane operated in private apartments throughout the city and had an impeccable safety record. So trusted were the Jane members that it was used as a referral source by police, social workers, clergy, hospital staff, and friends of friends. Over 11,000 women of all backgrounds were helped by Jane in the years leading up to Roe v. Wade.
On the phone, she said, I have a friend who's got a problem, but she couldn't get to a phone, so I'm calling for her. Do you know what I mean? Is this the right place?
When we were putting in the speculum, she said, "Oh, I had breakfast before I came. I know I wasn't supposed to, but I was so hungry, I just ate everything in sight. Is that okay?" Later, she said, "I think I have to throw up."
Sometimes she said, "Can I see it before you throw it away?"
But another time she said, "I don't want to look at it." Okay. When it comes out, I'll just close my eyes and you take it away. Okay?
She stood on the back steps outside the counselor's apartment and said, "This is mi prima, my cousin, from Mexico. Can you talk Spanish to her? Habla un poco? Un poquito? Sí, gringa. We will do this."
No, I'll keep it on. I'm not hot. It's okay. I'm fine. She was wearing her boyfriend's baseball jacket in the kitchen. She said, "Just tell me what I have to know."
When we told her she should pay whatever she could afford, she was quiet a minute and then said, "I think I can get $9.
He doesn't like me to talk to my mother. Him and his mother, they don't let me go home to visit. She put the tiny baby in her mother's arms and said, "We sneaked to come for this appointment. He doesn't know I'm pregnant again. My baby is so new, I can't have another one right away. He wouldn't even want it, really. He thinks this one makes too much noise. He doesn't like me to do anything without his permission."
Why do you do this? She looked around the small bedroom and said, "You're not rich. With what you charge, you can't be doing this for the money. What's it all about? Are you a bunch of women's libbers? Is that it?"
I'm not nervous. I think you are good women. I'm never nervous. Maybe because I'm always tired. She was so tired that when the woman beside the bed rocked her shoulder softly to wake her up, she said, "It's over? I'm sorry. I just closed my eyes after the shot you gave me down there. I'm sorry, but I was real tired. I had to work a double shift and didn't have no time between work and here.
She gulped some water in the kitchen and said, "Oh, thank you. You'll never know what this means to me. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough, I'm sure. I know some people say it's wrong, abortion, that you shouldn't take a life. And maybe you did take a life. But it's all give and take, isn't it? My mother always said that everything always comes down to give and take. So the baby, today, that was the taking. And me, my own life. I think that was the giving."
I remember the stories the older women told us when we came of age, the stories that warned us to keep our legs together and stay out of corners, never wear red, never pierce your ears, never wear an anklet, because that's what whores do. I listened and sifted out the half-true and the true. I remember other stories the older women told us when we came of age. The stories that were told in hushed, mournful tones of things botched, infected body parts, destroyed, and finally, and she died, and her daddy don't talk no more. And her mama just sits and rocks, and I listened and sifted out denial, blocked access, no choices except death. I don't think these stories, these last stories, told in hushed, mournful tones, were so much about choice but more about power, sashaying about with a mimed and deceitful holiness. These are some of the old Southern stories, the memories, the realities that came to me as I listened to these stories and sifted out the lives of the women I've known for the sometimes true, the half-true, and true. And sadly, they are not just Southern stories.
I returned to college in 1972 after serving in Vietnam, a Marine vet. At one fraternity party, I got drunk with a co-ed. We ended up having sex. After that night, we saw each other on campus, but never really dated. Mostly, there was an awkwardness between us. A few weeks later, MaryAnne, she was 18 at the time, called to say she was pregnant. MaryAnne came from a wealthy family, was more worldly than me. I sat stunned by the news and wondered out loud what we would do. She informed me bluntly that she intended to have an abortion. Abortion was against the law, though illegal operations were available, and her sorority had an abortion fund. They loaned her $200, and she had another $100 of her own. She needed $200 more. I hocked my camera and hi-fi. I wasn't even sure what an abortion involved and was embarrassed to ask anyone. But I did ask MaryAnne what to expect after the surgery, since we would have to drive 3 hours to get to the surgical office. MaryAnne told me to get a room. She doubted she would be able to travel right after. The 3-hour ride was awkward. We were both just trying to get through it. We knew we were in no position to have a child together. MaryAnne asked to be left at the medical building and said to fetch her 3 hours later. I spent the next few hours hanging around and returned a little early to get her. We went to the hotel room where she rested, though she was bleeding heavily. Later, I noticed she was looking gray. I thought she was hemorrhaging and convinced her we had to go to a local emergency room. Within a few hours, she was in the recovery room after a procedure to stop the bleeding. Her parents, summoned by the ER, arrived. The mother went right to her daughter's side without a word to me. But the father immediately came over, made a fist, and began beating me so badly the ER staff intervened and suggested I leave. I was relieved in a way. I wasn't sure if I could be arrested for this illegal abortion complicity. That was another matter my pride had prevented me from asking. In the weeks that followed, I tried to telephone MaryAnne at home, but no one would put me through. One day, however, I reached her mother. To my surprise, she thanked me. She said, "If you hadn't brought her to the hospital, she'd be dead today. I'm sorry about my husband. He reacted the way fathers react." I rank the abortion as the second most life-altering experience of my growing up. The first was Vietnam. So when I married a woman whose professional path led to a position in an abortion facility, I didn't have any doubts about supporting her work. I might have reservations based on my faith and my background. But I have 2 daughters now, and I know one thing. It always has to be up to the woman. I never want my daughters to face the nightmare that MaryAnne and I did.
Yes, All the wombs a stage once the performer takes his place, and the mother's just the theater but is renting out the space.
The drama of your life begins when sperm encounters egg. So pull yourself together and go out and break a leg.
It's a limited engagement biological review, and we swear we won't let critics close it down before it's through. But once you take your final bow, you better move along, 'cause another act is hitting town, and that's why we sing this song. You're on your own, yeah. You're on your own. We'll stand with you till you're born. After that, you stand alone. Till you join this world of strife, Lord, you got a right to life. But after that, well, I'm afraid you're on your own.
We'll mother you and nurture you and shield you from attack until you take one step beyond the amniotic sac. 'Cause while you're still an embryo, you're innocent and sweet. But once you're a baby, you'll become a welfare cheat.
Your mommy didn't count on you when she went out to play, but count on us to see that you're the price she'll have to pay. Because of us, you're free to live whatever life you please, as long as you don't start to think that food stamps grow on trees.
You're on your own, yeah. You're on your own. We'll stand with you till you're born. After that, you stand alone. Till you join this world of strife, Lord, you got a right to life. But after that, well, I'm afraid you're on your own.
Our love of life is ridiculed by baby-killing cynics. We'll show them our sincerity by blowing up some clinics. We hope you aren't hurt when the explosion goes.
But with what your mother plans to do, you're a goner anyhow.
Well,
The Lord works in mysterious ways, his wonders to reveal. Perhaps someday we'll meet while you are scrounging for a meal. But a soul that knows no hardship is a soul that goes unfed. The only perfect people are the unborn and the dead.
Still we ask that Jesus shelter you with loving hands so mild from undesired pregnancy to undesired child.
To juvenile delinquent.
to a death row prison cell.
And when you walk that final mile, you'll know it all too well. You're on your own, yeah. You're on your own. We'll stand with you till you're born. After that, you stand alone.
Till you join this world of strife, Lord, you got a right to life.
But after that, well, I'm afraid
You're on your own.
The House of Representatives will continue now with further testimony on the proposal titled The Ban on Partial Birth Abortion of 2003. The next person who will be heard by the committee is Claudia Abbott of Los Angeles, California.
7 years ago, I had a perfect pregnancy. I thought I had a perfect pregnancy. I decided, along with my doctor, not to have an amniocentesis. At 33, there seemed to be no need. Then one day, feeling anxious, I went to my doctor. There was no basis for my anxiety. It was just an instinct. To set my mind at ease, my doctor sent me to a radiologist to have an ultrasound. Don't worry, my doctor told me. He can see a vein out of place. The radiologist spent a long time conducting the exam. He said that he wanted to review the images. He said he would call. The next day, when my husband, Richard, and I returned from Rosh Hashanah services, there was a message on the answering machine. I'd like you to come back in so that my partner can take a look at your ultrasound. Please don't worry. I don't think it's anything, he said. You can't tell a pregnant woman not to worry. His partner determined there was a sac of fluid in my baby's brain. He called it a Dandy-Walker syndrome. He said that many people are born with Dandy-Walker syndrome. On the other hand, it could be more serious. He referred us to a perinatologist for a more expert opinion. The doctor put his hand on Richard's shoulder and told him not to lose hope and that everything could be okay. You don't console someone if nothing is wrong. The perinatologist arranged to see us the next day. She prepped me for an ultrasound, and within 30 seconds she announced, I concur with your doctor. Concur with what? We had no idea. In addition to Dandy-Walker syndrome and a fluid-filled, non-functional brain, our son had a malformed heart with a large hole between the chambers that was preventing normal blood flow. He had also developed an extremely large cyst filled with intestinal matter and hyperteluric eyes, another indication of severe brain damage. These symptoms added up to trisomy 13, a fatal chromosomal disorder. With each new bit of information, the tears flowed. Richard was holding me. What were we going to do? This was our son. We loved this baby. We wanted this baby desperately. We asked question after question. Could a cardiologist fix our son's heart? Could a neurosurgeon repair his brain? Could an eye surgeon help him to see? Was there anything that could be done? The answers were no, 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 no. Even if my son survived the pregnancy, he had no chance of life. Every day meant pain and torture for him. Away went the baby name books. Away went the first birthday party, the baseball games, the bar mitzvah. Away went our dream. We went through our options. I could carry to term. I could have a cesarean. I could induce premature labor. All posed risks for me. The doctors chose a procedure that would be the most appropriate. The entire process took 3 days. Ironically, the final day of the procedure was Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish year. On Yom Kippur, we are asked to mourn those who have passed and pray to God to inscribe us into the book of life. I prayed more than one person can pray. I was praying for all of us. Thank you.
The biggest challenge for me in the show Parallel Lives is doing the abortion monologue. Growing up, I was completely against abortion. I grew up in the Catholic Church. Sex outside of marriage was a sin. Birth control was a sin. Abortion was murder. In fact, in the 7th grade at 13 or 14, I wrote a poem that got published in our school paper. It was called Murder. When I heard my friend was going to get an abortion, I was horrified. So I wrote this poem and gave it to her. I didn't know anything then. I think she still had the abortion. I never really told my mom about my abortion in college. She's a Catholic, Lebanese woman. She's not political. She's not the most liberal, vocal woman. But her last time in New York, she saw my show, Parallel Lives, a lot. And I think it hit her what the abortion piece was about. She never sends me a clipping unless I'm in it. But after she left, she sent me a clipping from Dear Abby. She said, "Thought you might be interested in this." The clipping is just a little letter from a Midwestern woman saying to all the anti-choice people, "I'm so tired of hearing you talk about abortions and how women shouldn't get them. I personally wouldn't get an abortion, but that's my personal choice. I would never make a law saying other women can't." It really meant a lot to me. It was her way of saying that my being pro-choice was okay. This is from that show, Parallel Lives.
Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It has been about
14 years since my last confession. Okay, let's see. That puts me in about
the 10th grade. Okay, the 10th grade. Let's start there. Well, I must have done something. I probably cheated in math. I knew I wouldn't use it. I smoked
weed. I let Mark Richard touch my breast. I started a rumor about
Sissa Potts stuffing her bra.
I took speed. I masturbated.
I used a fake ID.
To buy Schlitz malt liquor. Tall.
A lot. I lied.
I lied.
A lot.
Please, God, please don't let me be pregnant. I swear to you, I'll never have sex without birth control again. Ever. I'm serious, God. If you make me not pregnant this time, I'll never even have sex again. I know I've said this before, but this time I won't even kiss again. Who needs kissing? Look here. It's an application to the Sisters of Charity Convent. I swear to you, if you make me not pregnant, I'll send it in.
And then I cheated on my math final. Well, that puts me at 21.
Oh, that was a bad year, 21.
I hit and run. An ice cream truck.
I had a 3-way, I think.
I had an abortion. I did cocaine.
I lied.
About my student loan.
I lied.
About my disability insurance.
I lied.
About the weight on my driver's license.
I lied.
A lot. No, I don't remember feeling bad. Well, no, I do. I remember not letting myself feel bad. That would be like giving in, you know? And if I let myself feel bad, it might make those people who are so against it think that they're right. Like, I'm proof. A chance for them to say, you feel awful, therefore you shouldn't have done it, you are wrong. And the last thing I wanted to do when I was going through the whole ordeal is be part of anything that would make them think that we don't have a choice. So you don't think about it. Because if you think about it, then you might feel bad or guilty and have to give up your choice. So, no, I don't remember feeling bad. It was too scary for me to feel, because then maybe they would seem right. And they're not right. You see, when you do something like that, you do it because for you, it is your only choice. The sad thing is, you want to be able to feel bad about it without feeling wrong. But no, I don't remember feeling bad. Well, that was last year. That brings us up to...
Now. Well, I might as well go for the gold. I had sex.
With a married man.
I had sex.
With a married woman.
A lot of sex.
I never visit or write my relatives ever.
I cheat on my taxes.
I think bad thoughts about people.
All over the place. I lie.
I lie a lot.
I lie a lot.
I feel ever so much better.
Well, that's about it, Father.
I really feel cleansed.
What is my penance, Father?
2 Hail Marys and 3 Our Fathers.
For 14 years of sin?
Mom, Dad?
What is it, honey?
I've got something I want to say. It's a little scary. I'm afraid after I tell you, you won't love me anymore.
You can tell us anything, dear.
Absolutely. Tootsie Pop.
Well, I'm in love.
That's wonderful.
Anyone we know?
No.
Then tell us who it is.
I don't know.
Oh, sweetie, are you worried it's someone we won't like?
It's hard to tell.
If you're worried that it's someone of another race, or religion, or background, that's really okay with us. As long as you are happy. Is it someone you met at school?
No.
We accept all people into our lives. A same-sex relationship is all right with us. And, you know, dear, we support people who are trans, or questioning, or intersex, or don't fit into the binary. We care deeply about the genderqueer.
And don't forget, we did a fundraising walk last year to support the ability movement, too. It rocks.
Is it someone who works at the hospital where you are volunteering?
Kind of. Okay, here goes. Lately at the hospital, I've been helping in the lab area, filling orders, tracking samples.
Yes, so you've said.
Mom, Dad, I fell in love with a stem cell. Look.
But
it's so little.
You think just because it's little, it isn't alive. You think because it's a stem cell, it doesn't have feelings and concerns.
I can't actually see anything.
It's that little dot there, like a piece of pepper or salt.
It's so cute. I can't wait for it to be implanted in a womb and become a zygote, and then someday an embryo and then a fetus. And when it's finally born, we can go off together.
Honey, wouldn't that be robbing the cradle?
I knew you wouldn't understand. We're leaving. Oh no, I dropped my stem cell, my love.
Honey, don't worry. There's more than one fish in the sea.
I'll never find another stem cell like that. Never. Never, never. I was in love with a stem cell, and now that stem cell is gone. My life is over.
Maybe we can find it.
It's got to be here somewhere.
It wasn't bad looking, if you could see it.
I never said it was bad looking.
Oh, the truth is, we've failed as parents.
We'll keep trying. We'll get it right, darling. We will.
Journal entry. August 1990. Scared. So scared. Hard to think. Heart pounding. Tried to avoid protesters in front. Hid in back seat of taxi. Went to back door. 2 men there. 1 man grabbed me and slammed me up against a parked van. His face in my face. Screaming at me. You killer! You killer! You deserve to die. Stop killing babies, Susan. I struggled. Got away from the van by just inches, and then they threw me against it. Screaming. I hit send on the phone and hoped someone would hear. Felt my hips slam into the side of the van. Heard another voice. Back door was open. Attackers briefly let go and I ran for it. Feel like I'm still sitting in a frantic dream. Need to gather myself enough to see patience. Need to cry. January 27th. On the weeks that I drive to the Fargo Clinic, 240 miles, I stop on the edge of town and call for a protester of the day report. One day the activity is particularly bad. I put on a wig and a heavy coat of makeup. a long black jumper, tennis shoes, and sunglasses. I walk toward the clinic. I can see the crowd gathered there, 100 of them, all people whose only objective is to keep me from my work. They were after control. Control of me, control of the women coming to the clinic, control of anyone who believes differently. At the edge of the crowd, I begin mingling. I hear myself shouting their awful words just to play the part. Finally, I am at the front lines. I take off my sunglasses as I move closer to the guard, silently shouting with my eyes, "It's me! It's me!" Then his eyes find mine. Color drains from his face. I nod. He moves slightly to the side, opening up a path, and I dart through. I never look back. On my return flight to Minneapolis, I'm anxious to see my daughter Sonia and Randy, my husband. The elevator opens on the 5th floor of the airport parking garage. It strikes me how devoid of people it is at 10 p.m. I see movement inside a van about 50 feet away. 3 people emerge, 2 men and a woman, protesters. My first instinct is to turn and flee. They come at me. I feel like prey. They begin with their stream of words. "Susan, you have to stop killing babies." How dare they speak my name as if they know me? My body feels hot. They've come 300 miles to meet me in a dark parking lot. I look into their faces, 2 feet away. "How dare you!" I scream. "How dare you! How dare you! You go to my home? You terrorize my daughter? How dare you!" Words are my only weapon, my only power. They stop. I reach my car. I throw my pack inside. I want to vomit. The siege continues, for weeks. Randy, Sonia, and I are at the house in Wisconsin. I am due in Fargo again the next morning for clinic at 9 a.m. A great many protesters begin collecting outside. A motorhome pulls up at the end of the drive, and then groups of men move in huge cement barrels to block our way out. I call the police. They say it's too dangerous for the officers to come in the dark. If the problem is still there in the morning, backup help from other counties will be called. I begin pacing. I have 15 patients scheduled, and I am determined to get there. I make a phone call to a woman in town who'd offered help. I go out the back door downhill on a narrow, brushy trail to the edge of a swamp, then along the river to an old trail. Step by step, I make my way. Please, please, let me make it to the dirt road. I reach a prearranged spot just as a small red car pulls in. "Sue?" "Yes, I'm here." She delivers me to the stables where we have a few horses and keep a pickup. I take the pickup and reach the clinic before dawn, park in the back. Out front, the protesters are already gathering, jubilant. They are obviously in contact with the group at my home. The protesters jeer at the guards. "No clinic today," they yell. "Your doctor won't make it today. Dr. Susan won't make it today." I open the door at the front of the clinic and walk on the porch in my scrubs. "I'm here," I say. "I'm here and there will be clinic today."
I have some new laws that I want passed this year. 1. Protection of Women from Postpartum Depression Act. Postpartum depression affects women following childbirth, sometimes so seriously that women consider suicide. Let's prevent women from feeling any regret or angst about childbirth by banning postpartum depression. 2. Viagra Safety Act. In order to protect the natural order and the health of men, hereforth the sale of Viagra and similar products will require an individual seeking such a dispensation to listen to a lecture about the dangers of penile erection from a Catholic bishop, and to wait a reconsideration period of 72 hours, and to present letters from wives, girlfriends, boyfriends, and all sexual partners with their consent, and, before final dispensation, to undergo a rectal exam, cardiac stress test, and full colonoscopy. States shall further be free to ban Viagra altogether and subject any persons who take or facilitate the taking of the little blue pill to arrest or civil suit, including forfeiture of property and children. 3. Sperm ejaculation bill. Sperm form 1/2 of the cellular life force, yet billions of sperm die daily in agonizing deaths in socks, towels, boxers, flushed down the drain and in places you cannot imagine. Studies show sperm feel pain while still in the testes, a malady known as blue balls, and upon ejaculation can suffer even more painful extinction and death. We can end this unnecessary suffering by banning people capable of generating sperm from depositing semen anywhere except in a welcoming and consenting vagina. 4. The Sidewalk Counselor Certification Bill. All sidewalk counselors, previously called anti-abortion hecklers, must be able to prove they have a doctorate in psychology or medicine and must file an intent to sidewalk counsel fee of $10,000. Any sidewalk counselors found to be crossing state lines with the intent to counsel or who counsel on topics outside their training are subject to fines and possible prison time. Relatives may be arrested as accomplices. 5. The Full Spectrum Healthcare Act of 2023. All persons shall be entitled to complete healthcare as a human right, including for physical, dental, pre-existing conditions, and politically induced stress, and mental health care, without copays, deductibles, minimums, maximums, delays, pharmaceutical cost overruns, or in-network limitations, regardless of age, gender, race, religion, or immigration status, starting at the beginning of the next election cycle.
I march for myself. I march for my safety. I march to be a voice for change. I march for the millions of women and girls who live under the worst forms of dictatorship and tyranny. I march for those who are unable to freely exercise their constitutional and democratic rights to freedom of expression and choice. I march because I am tired of hearing officials make promises in meetings and at events, only to see very little action taken to bring these promises to fruition. I march because it is time to let everyone know that the world is failing at advancing women's rights and human rights. I march for the millions of women and human rights defenders who receive death threats, who are sentenced to jail, and who are killed for challenging dictatorial regimes and speaking up against injustice. I march because, at the moment, my government and other governments around the world are legalizing and normalizing violence, policing of women's bodies, and the imprisonment of those who speak truth to power. I march because it is my human and democratic right to march.
Flo? You can call me Flo. Full name Florence Ray Kennedy, and you can call me Flo. Now, here is the thing you've got to know. You've got to rattle your cage door. You've got to let them know that you're in there and that you want out. Make noise. Cause trouble. You may not win right away, but you'll sure have a lot more fun. I always understood feminism and sexism because of the discrimination against black people. When they rejected my application to Columbia Law School in 1949, I went to the dean's office and said I thought they discriminated against me because of my race. The dean assured me that was not the case. The problem, he said, was they had filled their quota of women. That was 7. I said I would tell that to the NAACP. And funny thing, they let me in. It doesn't matter which oppression you face, they all hurt like crazy. I took that law degree and represented the Black Panthers and helped found the National Organization for Women. In 1970, I decided to challenge the laws that made abortion illegal in New York State. It was obvious to me that if men could get pregnant, abortion would be a sacrament. You can quote me on that. From a church basement in Greenwich Village, our team collected 350 statements from women. I normally find that people who complain about apathy are frequently people who themselves are apathetic and really need an excuse for their own apathy. The people that get ahead are people who do not offend the establishment beyond a very discreet level. They are no more interested in losing their job than you are in failing your course, being thrown off the faculty, or being fired from the staff. We have it worked out in our heads that they are supposed to take risks that none of us will take. I'm saying that you've got to do something. And until you do that something that involves a risk, you shouldn't, though, of course you will, complain about anybody else's apathy. You are the apathetic one that you can control. The biggest sin is sitting on your ass. So here's the thing you've got to know. Don't agonize. Organize.
She was blessed with a family that threw her up high. Said, "Flap your brains, girl. It's time we test drive the sky." And she did not know where she was headed, but it had to be more than what she was leaving behind. So she grabbed her life by the scruff of its ears. She let loose the reins and she went for a ride. And it helped that she was friendly, 'cause she'd smile when she'd say what she'd say. So she felt armed to be a hero, the impossible kind with a big dagger flaw, and the world loomed like a tragedy. She'd never seen one up so close before. There was daunting poverty, and there was haunting wealth, and the narrator warned her to keep to herself. The people were petty and precious. Their faces were preserved in stone, and the chorus insisted she leave them alone. So she peeked behind the curtain at the mainstream stage. Everything there was colorful and strange. Cell phones patrolled the streets, connecting fools from brain to brain. And she put one hand on her head, another on her heart. And she swore to all she knew that she would never be able to tell them apart. And she says, "I guess that I am prey to all these things that I condemn and I confess. Perhaps that's why I am as pissed off as I am. So I'll keep one hand on my head and the other on my heart, and I'll swear to all I know that I will never be able to tell them apart." And yeah, she is just one citizen with her hands tied behind her back, and this is why she chooses to use her teeth and tongue to attack. This is why you gotta use your mouth to fight back, 'cause you got one hand on your head and the other on your heart, and you're swearing to all you know that you will never be able to tell them apart. You're swearing to all you know that they will never be able to tear them apart. But we are blessed with this family that has thrown us up, and I say, flap your brains. It's time we test drive the sky, and we may not know where we are headed, but it has got to be more than what we're leaving behind, so let's grab our lives by the scruff of their years. Let's let loose the reins, and let's go for this ride. Let's go for this ride.
Whispering to the flowers,
by June Jordan, Repro Freedom Arts, Feminist Health Clinic, Judith Arcana, Dr. Emilie Towns, MaryAnne Sorrentino, Michael David Quinn, Claudia A., Angela Bonavoglia, Kathy Najimy, Mo Gaffney, Cindy Cooper, Dr. Susan Wicklund, Charlotte Taft, Zoneziwoh Mbondgulo-Wondieh, Florynce Kennedy, and Alix Olson. Directed by Jeanmarie Simpson and Ololade Adekanmi. Director of Artistic Sign Language, Rachel Temitope. Sign Language Performer, Nehemiah Danjuma. Voices, Diana Kimetto, Marcus Brown, Janet Ang, Bradford Gray, Christina Mathews, Emmy Cuthbert, Nona Isaacson, Ariana Wilbur, and Mariana Brubaker. Production Manager, Kevin Ty. Audio Assistant, Sydney Wolf. Videographer, Ololade Adekanmi. Whispering to the Flowers, performed by the Hippie Nuts, Kathina Bryant and Tim Champion, Tom Semioli, Mark Epstein, Shannon Ford. Produced by Tim Champion. Contact Champion at thehippienuts.com, on Sandpile Records at CD Baby and iTunes. Made possible by grants from the Arizona Commission on the Arts and the National Endowment for the Arts. Experience theater that matters. Stories that ignite your soul. Arizona Theater Matters, radically inclusive theater. I'm Ray Williams. Thank you for joining us.